What is going on, guys? Samuel World from Samuel One Well Productions here, back with another ranking video for y'all today. And this is going to be the first of a few ones I'm planning to do on this specific universe. One I'm talking about is the Arrowverse. Yes, of course, the Arrowverse officially did end this year with the final season of The Flash, so I figured, why not do a few special videos to look back on this universe and look back at a lot of the big, gigantic highs and the super goddamn lows, because, my god, this universe was sometimes great and sometimes very rough. Honestly, I remember, I didn't get into when it was as peak, honestly, fortunately, but overall, I'm glad I finally get into this show, honestly, despite the fact that the show has a lot, they have a lot of greatness to it. There are a lot of great aspects to this universe that people give credit for. But even like that, there are a lot of terrible aspects. So this is going to be the first of 3 major videos I will be doing. This one will be ranking all the crossovers. Next one will be talking about my top 20 favorite characters. And next one's going to be a tier list where I rank every season. I was maybe when I want to do an actual ranking, but in the end I decided to just go with a tier list format. So now I'm ranking all 37 seasons in a tier list. I'm going to plan to do a couple of shorts as well. But forget this one, I'm here to rank all of the 10 major crossover events from the Arrowverse. Again, one was once basically like a huge thing event that everyone was excited for every year. Fortunately, after Crisis in Arrowverse, when COVID happened, it kind of ruined that, fortunately, but it's still interesting looking back at all of these crossover events. And host the ones I'm ranking are Flash vs. Arrow, Hero Joins Forces, Invasion, the 2 Flash and Supergirl crossovers, World's Finest and Duet, Crisis on Infinite Effects, Elseworlds, Crisis on Infinite Effects, and the 2 other crossovers that happen after COVID, Armageddon, and since I'm stuck anyway, It's My Party and I'll Die If I Want To, the final variant of Team Up. Those are the 10 crossovers I will be ranking here. Hope you guys all enjoyed this ranking. Again, as always, this is just my personal opinion on why I think are the best or worst crossovers. But I do generally love to know how you guys rank all these crossovers down below. And again, next one will be, I will be doing like a top 20 best characters list and a tier list ranking of all the seasons. So, enough beyond the bush, let's get it on, shall we? And also, to point of reference, I generally don't think there's actually a downright terrible crossover, honestly. Obviously, there are some that are better than others, but in terms of quality, there really doesn't have anyone that's just downright abysmal or terrible or bad. At least not the worst that the Arrowverse has gone to in the other seasons and other episodes. So that's a plus. But fortunately, we get to what I think is easily the worst crossover. I think a lot of people agree on this, and that is Heroes Join Forces, which was had from Arrow Season 4 to Flash Season 2. And there was definitely a few notable things to why crossover is always big to be the worst. First off, it kind of feels like more of a setup for Legends of Tomorrow, which was unfortunate that those seasons were kind of made for to set up characters for that show. Second, Valen Savage really isn't that compelling of a villain. Even in Legends of Tomorrow, he's not really that compelling or interesting. It doesn't do with the actor. It just, I never know what it is why I don't like about Savage, honestly. I guess I just don't think he's just that compelling or interesting or doesn't really have any standout moments. He's just bland. And he doesn't really have anything interesting to do here, honestly. And even in Season 1 Legends Tomorrow, not really. And of course, there's also the whole Oliver storyline where basically he finds out that he actually has a cell, which is kind of building up the last couple of seasons. And he finds out, he meets up with Samantha, who his mother basically paid her to tell Oliver that he had a miscarriage, which was, yeesh, damn. And basically, all was part of his life, and she's like, you cannot tell anybody about this, which is understandable. Can I also hear how later seasons kind of just bash on Oliver in some areas? I think most of Season 4 and Season 6. Is it because, a lot of the time, like, you get it, but in those seasons, I never really got it. And mostly because of the execution and because what is said, and actually, it's like, really? Oliver really did anything wrong here. Like, you're the one that kind of messed up here and just accused him of doing something he didn't really do. As of course, in Season 4, Arrow Season 4, of course, what Arrow Season 4 is more infinitely known for is, of course, Felicity's huge downfall as a character. Again, I don't think I've seen a huge downgrade of a character than Felicity Smoke. Someone who probably was the best character of the show, to be honest. she's going to now being the character that basically almost, it probably nearly ruined Arrow. And I'll say she hasn't really covered, but season 4, Armageddon 9, she was definitely the worst here, and this is probably her worst moment, which, again, she probably gets upset that all was going to lie to her about the sun and everything, and the way she basically questioned about it was creepy and weird. It's even more interesting that she also gets mad at him about that later on in the actual seasons, that failure resets the timeline in that episode. The basically 3 reasons are basically why this crossover is known for being the worst, and to be honest, I kind of agree with a lot of this stuff. Maybe not so much of the Oliver and Son, because I think those aspects are good, just the Felicity stuff I hate. Again, it feels like she's not interesting a villain, and again, it feels like more of a setup, and at least in so far, Hawkeye and Hame are not really the most interesting characters here. But some solid action, some nice character moments, and some nice back and forth between Oliver and Barry do make up for it. Honestly, to prevent this not being like a downright bad crossover. It's just more meh. Now at number 9 and number 8, because I'm actually talking about both of the Flash and Supergirl crossovers. Number 9 being World's Finest, and number 8 being Duet. The World's Finest one is just fine, honestly. I just don't really have much to really say about it, honestly. It just feels like a standard episode of Supergirl. Again, this was actually when Supergirl actually was on CBS. Yeah, remember, Supergirl was actually on CBS in its first season. Yeah, that also too. Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people even forgets about that, honestly, but it was on CBS in its first season before it got transferred to the CW. But there were some nice moments here, some nice interactions, and seeing Barry and Kara interactions are great. It's just not really standout-ish, honestly. That's really all I can say about it. And then this Duet, which a lot of people seem to always have at the bottom of the roster rankings, but number 8, I've always enjoyed Duet, honestly. It's cheesy, goofy, and everything like that, but that's kind of what works, honestly. That's kind of what makes it work, honestly. Again, it's not going to blow you away or anything. The songs are kind of cringe, I'm not going to lie, but they're cringy in a good way. Especially that Super Friends song, and even that song that Barry sings to Alice in the end of the episode. And I mentioned both of them are really talented singers, and they're both in Glee, if I remember correctly. And even the music mentioned in the episode was actually a pretty fun presence for that episode. So I can put because there's not really too much I can really say about these crossovers, because then they were more just Flash and Supergirl episode crossover events. And the World's Finest is probably the most forgettable one, because it doesn't really do much, honestly. But it just, I'm not even sure when it aired that wasn't really that memorable. And Duet is just a very solid, cheesy slot fest, and that just not gonna be everybody, but honestly, I enjoy it a lot more than most. Now we get to writing out probably the more good crossovers of the Arrowverse, and at number 7 we have Armageddon. So I did enjoy this crossover, but it is a really frustrating one, honestly. Based on the it's one thing where I think like the first half I think is fantastic. I think the first 3 episodes are fantastic. Probably the best of last A with the story that they're going for here, the different directions that they go for. But the last 2 episodes really do stink. They really kind of bring the crossover really down, because they go from some really weird directions. They like to say a certain character that like, why do you need to say this character? Like, again, I'm not going to details, but if you see the crossover, you guys probably know what I'm talking about. And you even get a lot of appearances from like other characters like Ray Palmer, Alex Danvers, Justin Pierce, and maybe Snoke. You basically get a lot of appearances from different characters, but they don't really do much of anything honestly in this crossover. They're just there, and they don't really bring any to the actual story, and that's kind of a waste, honestly. Again, I think the first few episodes, in terms of the action, in terms of the atmosphere, and the interactions, that were great, and it definitely has some great ideas, and it definitely has some good moments that do elevate from their couple of crossovers we talked about. But the decisions they made in the last 2 episodes, especially that kind of cop out last episode they did when some characters like, what? Seriously? If the last 2 episodes, yeah, I'll say the last 2 parts were just as good as the last 3 parts. It's honestly we've been talking about 5 for being honest, but it is what it is. And now we get to another interesting crossover at number 6, and that is Invasion. About the first one that really brought Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, and the Legends of Tomorrow into one big event, and it'll be another good one. One, unfortunately, that does have some issues, unfortunately, that do kind of hold it back a little bit. But honestly, I've always enjoyed this crossover, even despite those issues. But let's get those issues out of the way first. First off, the first part really is kind of lacking, and that was because it just feels like a standard Supergirl episode with that crossover aspect added in at the last minute. Which, really? The aliens themselves also feel like very lacking villains. They don't really get much development or much anything interesting to do here. Like, they're not the worst villains in the world, but they're not the most menacing either. And of course, they're still like bashing on Barry for timeline, something I never really got in season 3, honestly. Which I honestly don't understand it. I just wish they wouldn't do it every goddamn second. Like, yeah, Barry screwed the timeline, Barry did this, Barry did this wrong. Like, yeah, like you did this wrong. But it's like, really? You need to bring up every 5 seconds? Though it does lead to very like sweet moments between Barry and Cisco, honestly, which I do really enjoy, but yeah, that kind of got a little annoying to always bring that up and always like be very down about it. Like, obviously I do get it, it's just more the way you do it, more they have to like shove it in your face. Again, these children have been over their subtlety, so yeah. But the action does make up for it. The back and forth between a lot of these characters do make up for a lot of those moments. Again, seeing Supergirl and interacting a lot of these characters is great, especially with Oliver. And you get some nice hilarious moments between a lot of these characters teaming up and everything. Again, you get some reactions, some nice visual moments. Again, you can get some nice moments with Monstein. We now realize that he actually has a daughter. And then there were nice character moments in there as well. And some interesting little build up for other crossovers in the future. So overall, another pretty solid crossover that unfortunately is brought down by the fact that I think the first part was kind of lacking, the lacking interesting villains and the bashing on Barry that I never really cared like, especially more just how in your face it is. But overall, pretty good solid crossover. Now at number 5, we have a crossover that honestly, if I would do this crossover like when this crossover ended, this would have been number 1, honestly. It's kind of pained me in a way to have to put this at number 5 now, because it kind of has gotten less and the more I think about it, the more, of course, what happened to the Arrowverse after this event, honestly. But let me just notice, now 5 is basically the huge big event crisis on different Earths. Now this is basically the Infinity War endgame of the Arrowverse. Like the big event that they've kind of been building up for since the very beginning. I think it is a very exciting comic book multiverse event. I feel this also might start the whole multiverse thing we've been getting in a lot of these superhero movies recently, which some have been good, some have been not so great. But that's a story for another day. And they really went all out for this crossover, honestly, even in like so many cameos, so many certain characters that come back. I mean, you got like Kevin Conroy's Bruce Wayne again, you got Brandon Routh turning Superman, you got like Tom Welling playing Clark Kent again. And then you got basically the big event where Oliver was going to sacrifice himself, and he barely was going to sacrifice himself, but reality we all know he probably wasn't going to. Really, very freaking honest. And it's always very weird and it's always been a very weird thing to assess, honestly. Because again, I still think this is a good crossover. I still think this is a damn good event, honestly. It does have probably some of the best moments in the entire Arrowverse. Like, truly, some of the top 2 Arrowverse moments are from this crossover, especially in the later half of this, especially part 3 and 4, and even 5, honestly. Like, you do get some generally great character moments here as well. You get some very satisfying moments here as well. Some of the cameos actually were very nice, well done, honestly. Kevin Conroy, I definitely really enjoyed it, honestly. And even Team Tom Welling, I never watched Smallville, but I imagine it was very satisfying for Smallville fans to see that everything ended up going well for him in the end. After the events of the first movie, after the finale again. I still need to watch that show, honestly. Maybe I should put that on my watch list, honestly. So why is the crossover at number 5? Because, again, this crossover does have its issues, honestly. Even I can't deny it, honestly. Again, I really didn't think about these, honestly, but they do develop the more I think about it. As much as they enjoy a lot of the cameos here, a lot of them do feel forced, and a lot of them do feel like they're just there for the sake of it and don't really add anything to the actual story. I feel like they're just like, hey, remember this? Hey, like this character. Hey, remember this? Again, they're great and all them fun, none of them like irritating. It's just because of story, they don't really add much. And I find that they do kind of like waste a lot of time trying to just go these cameos and everything, honestly. Even introduce a couple characters that feel like they should have been introduced before the crossover, like with that Ryan Chow character. And I wasn't sure how to feel what they did with Oliver later on, honestly, where they actually did an incredible surprise ending on Oliver in part 1. But then go for this other weird direction with him in the other parts, where I was like, really? But thankfully, when a big thing crossover we get to later, they do actually fix that issue. They at least do fix one issue, at least, but I was like, really? And as goes without saying, I also really, and it's also not crossed when I realized that, well, I never really care for the villain here. Like, I never really care for the anti-modern, honestly. Like, he's not, again, not a terrible villain. Like, none of these bad villains are terrible. It's just not that most interesting or compelling. Like, they do a great job developing the Martyr himself, but the anti-Martyr, I realized, never really gets any much development. Alright. Any, like, true menacing presence, honestly. Am I the only one who thinks that? It's just me. But I think there's still enough greatness and enough, like, awesomeness to just elevate this to at least be in the top 5, honestly. It's definitely not number 1 like I did in my last ranking of the crossovers. I still think it's a damn crossover with so much fun elements, so many great character moments, and some all-time great moments in the Arrowverse. Just those issues I mentioned to bring it down a little bit. And now we go from one of the last big crossovers to the first crossover at number 4, and that is Flash vs. Arrow, the very freaking first crossover event where you have Flash and Arrow teaming up to fight a big threat. And this is why it was more very simple, not like a crazy huge event. And that's where it works, honestly. Again, seeing both of these teams kind of interact and go back and forth with each other is just amazing. Again, Oliver and Barry's banter has always been the highlight of these crossovers and the highlight whenever they're on the screen in general. And this is no exception. Right now, you get some great moments between them, some great action set pieces. Again, it's just a very simple crossover. It also does set up stuff for future crossovers and future episodes. You get some great laughs here, some nice emotion here and there, just a great crossover event in general that really brings the best out of both of these characters. Yeah, we're in the top 3, people, and actually debated a little bit between my number 1 and number 2, but in the end, my number 3 is Elseworlds. Definitely a crossover that was definitely very exciting, honestly, and had a great concept to it, and I think it executed pretty well, actually, with kind of like a freaky fight kind of thing, where basically Oliver is now Barry, and Barry is Oliver, which is pretty interesting, actually, and they do take advantage of both those concepts. And the interaction between both those characters are hilarious, especially seeing Barry's reaction that he kissed Iris. Like, oh my god, that gets me every time, honestly. And this of course also introduced Batwoman into the mix, which, again, it's probably the only, that's kind of the only weird data aspect of this crossover, and if it is in general, because, well, they were setting her up to be like a big presence and character. And basically, Supergirl ended up like quitting at season 1, and we all know what that went down, so I'm not gonna get into details on that. But in her first appearance, I thought they did a pretty great job with introducing her, and that's nice general seeing Gotham here as well, which was pretty well realized here. I'm not gonna lie. Again, does a great job with setting up the different Earth crossover events with the Modern and everything. And the interaction between a lot of the characters is great. We also got to see Tyler and Superman again. This is probably the point. This is about the point where I think Tyler Hoechlin really got to shine as a character. Because I don't think, for most problems, nobody really got a chance to really show not how he can portray this character. Because he'll just use randomly in Supergirl around getting much development and much interesting stuff to do. But this is one of the first time, at least I can think of, that where he actually gets more interesting content to do, and Tyler Hoechlin really just shows action chops. Because I'm also giving them a very popular opinion. I'm just gonna say it right here. Just don't say this, but why am I holding it, Nicola? I think Tyler Hoechlin is the best live action Superman that we have gotten. But that's a topic for another day. No, but this is when he probably truly shine as the character. We also got to see this version of Lois Lane, which I think all can at least grade that's the best version of Lois Lane that we have gotten. Just from this crossover fucking alone, honestly. Honestly, it was great seeing Denver at the crossover, and basically what they ended up doing at the end, what they caused Lois Lane to become pregnant, and then what Lois Lane and everything what they went through, which kind of sets up Superman and Lois. And you get the great crowd interactions and the great action set pieces that you would expect, with some really surprising moments and some nice No, not especially knowing Wilder Just Tomorrow is not in this crossover. I really like that one, but overall, a great crossover event. Now we're in the top 2, people, and kicking our list at number 2, we have It's My Body and I'll Die If I Want To. Which is the true final crossover event where basically we see Mary die and Oliver ends up coming back for one big crossover team up between both of these characters. And despite the fact that I had many problems that plagued last season 9, the fact that it doesn't really feel like an actual final season to the show, honestly, it doesn't have anything interesting to offer, at least they ended with a bang. At least while the season itself ended in a big whimper, because I think the finale actually gets worse the more I think about it, I think that the crossover event itself at least ended with a bang. At least it had like one great episode in the crossover event, where basically it was his birthday, we ended up seeing Diggle and Wally again. We'll get Ransom Manso basically just going on and just threatening the huge multiverse, and we get to see like event Oliver reunite, which was pretty incredible. And guys, something we were just huge on making Oliver the Spectre, honestly, and not President's crossover. That wasn't sure how to feel about it. This crossover at least made that make feel a little more sense, and it does add a lot more interesting layers to, especially when they feel that obviously Oliver has been taught to his kids and everything, which, and it does have at least a little bit, make it a little more sense, is what I'm saying. And I don't know, just seeing like a simple team up between Oliver and Barry is fantastic. Point out you get some great some of the better action sequences in this season. And I also wasn't even sure how I feel about Stephen Malcolm back as Oliver himself. I was like, are you serious? You really ended this character? Now you want to bring it back? But at least it did in a way that actually, I don't know if it makes sense, but at least in a way that I feel like it's infuriating. And does add a little more layers to its actual death, the actual death. And plus, it's also directed. Plus, I realized it's also actually directed by Daniel Pambaker, who was obviously a star of the show actually. And, got a weird direction in with her character, but that's a story for another day when it gets to season 9. Point is, great crossover, great fun. You even get some great moments between Oliver and Barry, and even Oliver and Diggle here as well. And you just get fun moments. Again, with all the issues I have season 9, at least with the like true crossover events, they at least ended that with a bang. But now we get to what I think is the true, absolute best crossover in the entire Arrowverse 10. I think a lot of people this probably describes no surprise, and that is Crisis on Earth X. Again, I've always loved crossover, and it's still the best crossover event of this crossover, because it has everything you want in this event. Again, you had a story based around Oliver and Barry getting married. I mean Barry and Iris getting married, and then you got freaking evil Nazis coming in from an interesting universe, attacking and everything, which the villains here are a lot more compelling and interesting here as well. Not the most in the world, but at least they actually pose an actual threat. And again, you get basically what you want crossover fan. Great villains, great character moments, some really surprising moments, especially what happens between the two characters in the last part, which I'll not get details here, but it's one of the most emotional parts of any Arrowverse season, anything involving the Arrowverse. You get incredible action set pieces, some really great character moments between a lot of these characters that do even stuff keep going in later parts and later episodes. You get some nice new characters, some nice characters from other Earths and everything. And again, it ends in a very emotional and satisfying way. Again, it's pretty much what you expect from an actual crossover. Great character moments, great interactions, and just awesome moments in general. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about this. It's you do get some great emotion from a lot of these characters here. Get some that fun, hilarious that we expect. You get some continuing storylines from the other portions of the show. So, and you get a satisfying ending, and you get a very sweet moment by the end as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about it. Again, amazing, fun, entertaining, badass, just hilarious moments. Maybe a couple cringy moments here and there, but aside from that, epic crossover that I still love wholeheartedly, and is without doubt the best Arrowverse crossover that we have got. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed me discussing we all of the Arrowverse crossover events. I'm ranking all 10 of these crossovers, which is a lot of fun. I would love to know how you guys will rate these crossovers down below in the comments. Again, I do have 2 other Arrowverse videos I will be doing. The next one will be talking about my top 20 favorite characters from the Arrowverse, and the other one will be a tier list ranking. I might do a few other like random shorts of the Arrowverse here and there. I'm still thinking of what I should talk about, but we'll see how that goes. But thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know how you're ranking this down below in the comment section. And also do custom if you want me to do down below in the comment section. I am One Wolf Several Productions. I will see you next time. As always, stay cool, everybody. Peace.